Hello and welcome to the Drum Studio at Cannes Lions 2025. Now, when we wanted to take the temperature at Cannes, it's very hot by the way, and find out what's really important going on here, we thought who better to ask for an opinion than our very own opinion formers. So I'm delighted to be joined by two of our esteemed columnists from the Drum. We have Julie Seal, CCO and founder of brand new agency Republic of Imagination. Yep. And Julie's keeping a diary for us about her journey in starting up, which is a must read for anyone who's thinking of doing the same thing. And Paddy Gilmore, MD of Humour Scope, and Paddy is, as the name suggests, our humour expert, our humour columnist at the Drum. Indeed. Welcome both of you. So this is interesting because Paddy, it's your first time in Cannes, and Julie, your first time since being here 9 years ago with Meta, when the Brexit vote happened. Very so a lot has changed since. Yeah. I know you've only just landed, but just give us your first impressions of how Cannes compares now to when you were here back then.
Oh, it's about 10 times the size. Well, maybe not 10 times, maybe 4 times. It seems really, really, really busy and hectic and a lot. I mean, there was a Brazil bus going past. It's lovely. I bumped into a lot of people that I know and had 0 selfies with them, which is a shame. But yeah, no, it's really, really massive compared to what it used to be honest, and quite exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot.
Yeah. Paddy, give us your first impressions.
It's big. There's a lot going on. I think it's the sheer fact you've got so many people and so many things happening in just 4 days essentially seems incredible. It's great to be here. You know, it's really, really interesting. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
So we're going to get into some of the things that have been on your minds and that you've been writing about for us in the Drum. Paddy, humour has become a really big thing here at Cannes in the last couple of years. Cannes itself has introduced new categories reflecting humour in advertising. Seems like we're all trying to be a little bit less po-faced even in these very serious times. Are you seeing much evidence of that as you walk up and down the Croisette?
Definitely seeing some. Looking at the shortlist for the use of humour category, there's some really nice pieces on there, some wonderful campaigns, so that's really good. In terms of the programming, though, for the festival, I would have liked a few more sessions actually looking into humour. I did a little scan of them, and I found only one mention of a session which actually had humour in the title. It could be a case of digging deeper. There is more there, you know. But no, it's on the whole, it's encouraging.
It's interesting because I think if there's been a criticism labelled at Cannes in the past couple of years, it's maybe that it's over-indexed slightly on some of the brand purpose work, which, while perhaps important, hasn't always necessarily had the business case to support the work. And so I think that's partly fueled this idea that maybe we need to see more humour and more of a human touch in some respects.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the use of humour category, or the use of humour kind of nomination, if you like, that was introduced in the autumn of 2023. So we're looking at almost, a year and a half ago. And I think it'd be a shame if it was kind of introduced and then slightly forgotten about. And then the next shiny new thing came along. Yeah. So I'd be very interested to see, you know, the winners this year, you know, within that category.
Yeah.
Can I ask, humour's quite a tricky one, isn't it? It's really interesting because, of course, it's quite subjective and quite, I'd say, culturally specific often as well. And it's less universal than some of the kind of glass line stuff. Mm. It's really interesting. I did a project for 4 countries that couldn't rely on any language because it was 4 different languages that needed humour, and the only overlap that we could find was Monty Python, but which I thought was quite funny. So slapstick, kind of, but with an edge. But it's interesting. I wonder if you think that impacts actually why there are fewer categories, or even just fewer even case studies and fewer entries for humour.
It can do, but there are certain techniques that advertising agencies and brands can use to kind of go beyond that, beyond those obstacles. You know, a great example of a brand that uses humour phenomenally well is Snickers. You know, you're not yourself when you're hungry, and they localise that to each territory with local celebrities. Yeah, phenomenally successful creatively and commercially. So there's definitely a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things that brands can now do. And in many ways, my work is working with brands to discover how to use it because it's so commercially useful, and how to use it so it's right for them and their audiences.
Yeah. Julie, I'm going to do a really awkward segue here, but some of the people that aren't laughing perhaps this year are, see what I did there, some of these huge advertising agencies that we see on the beach, because it feels like we're at this moment of existential angst for some of them. They're, you know, huge organizations that are trying to find their place in this world that's now much more dominated by technology in particular, and there's a lot more competition on all fronts. you're getting into this territory yourself, back into the agency world. Tell why on earth
I know, right?
are you choosing now to do it, to go into this Shark Tank?
Foolish, isn't it? And my old boss Zuck's trying to steal everyone's jobs by automating creative in lots of ways as well. I'm contractually obliged not to talk about that, but anyway. So
Oh, please go on.
yeah, I know I should. But no, it's interesting because I've been a creative director for many years. I've freelanced actually quite a lot with the big networks, but I've also worked permanently and freelance for independents as well. The freelance market has really died down, and a lot of my freelance colleagues are really finding it hard to find work. So actually necessity is one of the reasons that we've kind of pivoted into launching something, if I'm really honest. But also, it was, I guess what I'm doing, I genuinely believe is something different. And we can serve agencies. So agencies are our clients as well as brands are our clients, because we're specifically about using craft-led content creators, not influencer, personality-driven influencers, but craft-led creators for brands. So we've kind of got a creative team of 10 million rather than some overworked duo in an office in East London, which I was once, like I'm not criticising them. But it's just a different landscape and different approach. So I think if you do approach it in a different way, in a modern way, and we're working with AI artists hugely as well, like with some really exciting partnership stuff that I want to talk about. And it's all about the human in that as well. So I think there's loads of opportunity to be excited. I actually think, yeah, I kind of get the sentiment, I get the fear, and I understand why people are getting very antsy about the market and the industry. And I've definitely seen that happen. But I think if you approach things in a different way, there's still quite an optimistic side of things. I've trademark optimist, I think, on everything. So.
Well, we need those people in the world, so that's good, especially at the moment. I mean, how important is it for agencies to show up in Cannes? You obviously felt like you needed to be back here this year.
Yeah.
But there is clearly, I mean, just behind us, there's a smorgasbord of branded beaches and activations, and everybody is here in force. So, like, how do you kind of cut through all that?
Well, firstly, it's a massive privilege because I've been a single mum for the past 4 years. I've just got a partner who's now babysitting, so I can come here because it's not feasible otherwise. And that it is a privilege as well. Like, it's a privilege in my health and lots of things to come here because I'm disabled and have chronic illnesses. So there's loads of reasons why people spend most of their careers never being able to come to Cannes. I've self-funded, I'm bootstrapping, I'm staying in a dodgy murder hostel. But hopefully not getting murdered, it's okay. But I think it's really vital to come and actually make face-to-face connections with people, because we're so used to doing Zoom and we do lots of check-ins and catch-ups, and I'm remote these days. I live in the Cotswolds, I don't live in London anymore, so I don't see people in real life very often, and actually solidifying all those relationships, new ones and old ones, you know, just bumping into people in the airport or in the taxi queue or wherever. It's incredibly important actually for just reminding people that we all exist and that we all actually can just, I don't know, work together in different capacities. Or so life is a favour exchange at the end of the day, and the industry I think is very much a favour exchange. And so, yeah, just getting to build those relationships back up again is crucial for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Paddy, how are you? You've been here a couple of days now. Mm-hmm. How are you sensing the mood is at the moment? Because I was kidding on a little bit there with Julie, but obviously when we look at some of the coverage, the industry coverage recently, there has been a bit of doom and gloom, and we know that, you know, budgets are getting squeezed and things are getting harder for everybody. At the same time, it's easy to be in a bit of a bubble here, but as we look outside beyond Cannes, we know there's a lot of very serious stuff happening in the world at the moment. How is it manifesting itself in Cannes?
It's interesting. I think there's kind of two things happening. I went along to the Big Apple talk on the first day, which was very much about kind of, humans are in the driving seat and AI rides shotgun. And it's very much like an optimistic kind of thing. But I think there is a lot of worry about that, a lot of concern about that. So that's if you're on the more optimistic side, you take Apple's kind of approach to it. On the slightly more pessimistic side, I went to a fascinating talk last night by Eat Big Fish, and they talked about the cost of dull media, and they made the argument that out of every dollar that's spent on media, 43 cents is wasted. So in other words, you have to spend $1.43 to actually get your buck's worth of media, and that was really frightening, and it felt like a kind of sense check, like a reality check kind of talk. So I think those talks are very important, because sometimes can get a little bit self-regarding, and this, the place to make your mark and so forth. And it's good to have a reality check, to kind of bring that down to earth.
Yeah. Do you think Cannes is covering all the big issues here. I mean, there are obviously hundreds of official sessions, probably thousands of unofficial or fringe sessions and venues everywhere. Does it feel like all the big issues are being addressed at Cannes? There's obviously a preoccupation on certain topics in particular. I mean, you can't walk 3 feet without hearing people talk about AI, obviously. But is there anything you've been surprised by that isn't a bigger feature of Cannes this year?
I think the geopolitical changes in the world. I mean, what you read in the headlines of the newspaper, they're obviously very, very urgent issues. And I think possibly a few more responsive sessions as to how should brands behave and respond given these massive changes in the Middle East, in America and so forth. I think that would be welcome.
I generally find there's quite a few cliches. I probably shouldn't swear, should I? But
oh no, be my guest. This
right?
Is the drum. We're
there's
not
one
of those.
You're not, and that's why I love
Go ahead.
There's a lot of deck wank. So what I mean by that is not the yacht decks, but actually like literally regurgitating people's decks and platitudes and cliches, and actually about optimism about AI or use a collaborative tool or whatever. And it's not that I want doom and gloom, but I do want a bit more honesty, I think. And I feel like sometimes there's not really that level of honesty unless you get to, 2 a.m. on the Carlson Terrace. But I'd love to see a lot more honesty and kind of less people-pleasing platitudes, if I'm really honest.
Yeah, interesting. So what are your expectations? So we're still, as we record this, the beginning-ish of the week's Tuesday here in Cannes. What do you think the rest of the week is going to look like, and what are you hoping to get out of your Cannes experience? Hopefully shed loads of cash and clients for your new agency.
Millions of clients.
I think use of humour is going to become increasingly important as the week goes on. I would like to see. I was looking at the shortlist yesterday, and there's some superb pieces on there. There's one I've got to mention. It's for a brand called Steadfast, and the ad's called Dirty Money, and it was created by Lo Lintus in Mumbai, and it is a beautiful, beautiful ad. And it's one of those ads, I watched it and I thought, if that doesn't win something, then it'll be an injustice. So, but there's lots of other things. I mean, there's a wonderful campaign, the New Zealand campaign against herpes. And it's, the best country in the world to have herpes. And it was lovely, really nice site, really nice campaign, so I think it'd be really nice to see those win big.
And I'm loving what's won so far, actually. It's really interesting. I always get really inspired by all the winners anyway. And I love getting jealous and being a bit like, I wish I'd come up with that. I love those moments.
What's the piece of work that's made you most jealous so far?
Well, what I really like is that actually loads of winners are actually inherently social campaigns, but they're not in social categories. So people are finally using social in the right way, in my opinion, which is actually in lots and lots and lots of ways. So it shouldn't just be one category, because it's kind of a tool for lots of categories. So the Vaseline project that won last night was really good. There's loads of great stuff that kind of shows social in the best possible light, which I'm really, really pleased about, rather than being kind of a crumbs off the table afterthought, which it's been for a little while.
It's encouraging to hear you both talk about the work, because it is amazing how often you hear people in Cannes very matter-of-factly say, I've not seen any of the work, I've not gone to look at it in the Palais, I've not paid any attention to it, because I suppose the show around Cannes has become such a big circus, and there is so much other distraction, and people are here to do so many other things, and they're here to make deals and win business and all that sort of stuff, that it does sometimes feel like the work itself can become a little bit of an afterthought.
It's interesting, I was talking to another journalist this morning, and he said that some people come here and they don't need a pass. They simply come here to just have lots and lots of meetings. And I can see why that would happen. It's
The last time I was here, I didn't have a pass, actually. I was in my Meta guise, so I was kind of schmoozing with lots of people that I knew and trying to draw them into Meta Beach, which was all very different back then. But I do have a pass this year, so I'm really excited, because I've not even been into the Palais yet. So that's my plan.
It's good.
I'm really excited. It's probably a bit cooler too. Is it aircon?
The aircon's nice.
We're at that stage of the week and the stage of the Mercury where we can find good aircon. It's our biggest priority. To sort of bring things, to a head, what do you think we'll learn from Cannes this year? So people can be a little bit cynical about Cannes in the sense that they think it's jolly on the south of France. People are, chugging rosé like it's going out of fashion. And ultimately, you go back and then life returns to normal. Do you think, just given some of the conversations that are happening here this week, given some of the big issues that are affecting the industry, there will be some genuine change? Do you think we will go back and do things meaningfully different when we get home from Cannes this year? Or does it feel like that kind of Cannes, or does it feel like this is a nice bit of escapism from that real world that we're all putting off till next Monday?
Well, I guess I'm, kind of going back to the talk I went to last night about, the cost of dull media, and I just thought that says exactly what, I want to go along to that talk. And I hope that brands and agencies come away from Cannes realizing the sheer punishment you're going to get if your mediums and the creative is dull. So if I'm an optimist in the sense that I think that could create some kind of change. I'm sure there are other talks like that, happening here. So that'd be good if that's the big lesson.
I think the fear looming over the industry of AI, and the fear of global politics, geopolitics, of how it's impacting the industry, I think is an incredibly good thing. I think it's incredibly important. It's going to hopefully mark a bit of a step change. And I really want humility to be something that the industry takes away.
Yeah.
Hope. Don't know if that's necessarily true, but I really hope humility is something. People start to be humble. The industry's kind of less pretentious, less exclusive, less old-fashioned, and a little bit more scared of what's next, because I think that's an incredibly good thing for the industry. So hopefully there's going to be a little bit of fear that's going to be instilled. Is that bad?
No, I think a bit of humility is a nice wish. There can be a tendency towards self-regard, in these kind of festivals. At least that's my impression. And so I think a bit of humility, a bit of kind of really appreciating the audiences and the customers that brands ultimately serve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't a bad thing at all.
Yeah. Well, it definitely feels we're at a moment of change for the industry. Obviously, lots of renewal going on, new agencies emerging, new ways of doing things, and hopefully some reappraisal of some of the things that we've long held dear in advertising, like humour, for instance. So we'll see how much of that makes it home with our bags, hopefully. And people will be able to read more on your thoughts, not just about Cannes, but of course so many other subjects in the drum. So please do make sure you check out Paddy's humour column and Julie's warts and all diary of being in a startup. Thank you both for contributing. Thank you both for being with us today. And we hope you have a very pleasurable and successful rest of Cannes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers, folks.